Today marks 6 months since an ambush in West Charlotte. Tonight, the wife of one of the 4 law enforcement officers killed is sharing how she's trying to move forward.
It would be so easy to be bitter. You know, somebody killed him, this person, how horrible. But I refuse to. I feel like if I do that, then that person had 2 victims that day. He would have killed Tommy and he would have killed my spirit.
US Marshal Tommy Weeks is remembered as a fun-loving family man who was also dedicated to protecting our community.
Channel 9's Hannah Getz spoke to his wife about how his memory is pushing her toward a new mission.
I'm sure he was more than excited to move in here with you.
He was.
At their dock on Lake Norman is where Kelly and Tommy Weeks spent most of their time.
So yeah, it's our peaceful place.
It's quiet now, but Kelly says when Tommy was around, it was a different story.
If you were around him for any length of time and close to him and he didn't make you laugh, I'd be shocked.
Tommy Weeks was a 13-year veteran of the United States Marshal Service. By everyone's account, the definition of tough.
So you got this guy who looks like a cop, acts like a cop, but then busts out in a karaoke bar.
Always the life of the party, but he was also a husband, dad, and friend.
He lived in the moment. He lived, and so he would make a sunset on the back deck. Like, he would take 1 million pictures and post them on social media. And I'd be like, we see this sunset every day. He's like, no, this is the best one. And then 2 weeks later, no, this is the best one. And this morning I woke up and the sun was on the trees and it was beautiful. And I was like, I took a picture of it. And I'm like, oh my God, I just did what Tommy does.
It was these qualities that Kelly Weeks says made her fall in love with Tommy.
From the first date, we never left my side. He was my protector. I mean, no one would have ever gotten through him to get to me, that would be for sure.
She says every day with Tommy was a celebration. Dear Tommy. But 6 months ago, everything the Weeks family knew changed.
April 29th is when our life changed dramatically.
That day, one of the darkest in Charlotte's history. But it didn't start that way in the Weeks house.
And that morning, Tommy was going to training. So he's like, I'm just going to do some training. I should be done early. I can get the groceries.
At least that was the plan.
I get a call from my coworkers who lives in Charlotte and said, Kelly, there's a shooting in Charlotte. A US Marshal has been shot. Where's Tommy? And I'm like, oh, he's in Mooresville. He's not even down in Charlotte. And so I checked my Life 360 and saw that his car was on there.
Tommy had ended up assisting the Carolinas Regional Fugitive Task Force that day, serving a warrant on a fugitive in Charlotte. He was killed when the suspect opened fire on officers, killing Weeks and 3 others.
In those first moments, did you even think that you could make it to 6 months? Right.
No, I think we all, especially with my stepdaughter, she's like, I'm never going to survive this. Like, and there's moments where you're thinking, I'm not going to get out of this.
She says the days that followed were unimaginable. But so was the support that poured in from across the country.
The amount of people standing up and saying thank you, and Tommy's processional pulling into Mooresville, people lined up in lawn chairs waiting for us to come, praying and crying and grieving with us.
That support evident among those who showed up for Tommy's memorial.
This is one of my favorites too. This is
You can see it here lining her countertops.
The Panthers, they gave us a game ball.
You could even see it during our conversation.
No, the Nats game.
2 US Marshals and Tommy's good friends standing at Kelly's side to make sure she was okay. They're protecting her, like Tommy did, and now she vows to protect them.
In my opinion, the strongest of strong take these jobs. You can't be weak and do these jobs, and you have to want to serve others. So their mentality is to take care of everybody else, and Tommy was the same way, and take care of themselves last. So, nobody's going to look out for them, and that's our job.
Kelly has vowed to use her pain, her voice, and her vulnerability to advocate for law enforcement officers, for their support and mental health, and for the families of the fallen.
I think strength, in my opinion, is being vulnerable enough to say that it's hard, because it is. It's super hard. But if we can make a difference out of it.
So what do I need? I need this country to come together, to support our law enforcement officers so they can continue to fight for justice.
Her mission remains the same, now 6 months later.
When I get to April 29th, I want to look back and know that we've impacted other people's lives in a positive way. and hopefully change some people's opinions of law enforcement, because they are humans, very much humans.
And if you would like to support Kelly Weeks in her mission to help first responders and families of fallen officers, there is a Celebration of Heroes concert on November 23rd, and we included the link to buy a ticket inside this story on our website.
And that's such a powerful interview, and you see her strength and fun embodying her husband, and you were sharing with us how others are supporting their children too.
She is never alone, especially with the US Marshal's office just stepping in, really. And I think there was a comment made at his memorial service that his daughters were going to have a hard time as they got prom dates and started dating, and that started to happen. And Kelly shared with me that they're really stepping in, and they're going to volleyball games and taking the girls to breakfast, and also shaking the boyfriend's hands and making sure they're okay to date Tommy's daughters.
They've
So,
got a lot of father figures now.
Yeah, many of them. Hannah, thank you. You can learn a lot more about Weeks, all the other heroes who were killed that day on our WSOC-TV app and website. Just look for that on the homepage.